Arguments are made that gay activism is threatening freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and religious liberties in general. How do you respond to these statements?
Well, this is a question that gets asked a lot. Freedom of speech is assured to all U.S. citizens. Pastors can and always have been permitted to say what they want from their pulpits. So imagine for a second that the Fred Phelps gang gets away with saying the most atrocious things that shock all of us. And I would hardly imagine that there would be any pastor in this country that could say worse things than the Westboro Baptist Church, and they're protected. So don't let people manipulate you with stories from the UK or from Denmark or any other country where their freedom of speech is being stripped. In the US, we enjoy the most protected form of free speech anywhere in the world. Concentrate on our Constitution. But public pressure, that's another issue. I hear the repetition of debasing myths from good and kind pastors and people. Here's a case in point. I've heard this statistic from some of the top pastors in this country. They say that gay men will have 8.1 partners outside of their marriage in their first year of marriage. And they call this some variation on the Dutch marriage study. So this is the actual facts behind that Dutch marriage study. An HIV/AIDS transmission study was performed in the Netherlands from 1984 to 1996. And same-sex marriage wasn't even legal there until 2001. The participants of this Dutch marriage study had to be under 30, in non-monogamous, risky, sexual, unprotected sexual behaviors. The study was the participants in the study were chosen from an HIV/AIDS clinic already. They had to be living in metropolitan Amsterdam. And the study found that these participants in an AIDS transmission study had 8.1 partners per year. And the results of this are presented over and over and printed in hundreds of documents and presented from pulpits and in conservative anti-gay material, and they tell us that this is the Dutch marriage study and gay men cannot and will not be faithful within relationship. And this deception is spoken over and over from pulpits in the United States, and people believe it and they keep repeating it too. At some point, even these pastors need to be re-educated about the great chasm between fact and myth. As more people in the pews come to know their gay brothers and sisters in Christ, public reaction is going to occur when demeaning statements are made. And I only wish those of us in those pews were the originators of the call to fairness. Instead, we're often the oppressors. All kinds of myths are believed as truth and the consequences that would happen for the passage of same-sex marriage equality. No church is going to be forced to perform same-sex marriages. And what is this complicated process by which pastors are going to get out of performing same-sex marriages? They're going to do it the same way they have for decades and centuries. They're just going to say, no, I'm not going to perform your wedding because fill in the blank. I don't think you belong together. You're rushing it. I don't think this is going to work. I don't think he or she is good for you, and I don't do same-sex marriages. All states, and there are 12 now that have approved the legalization of same-sex marriages, have clear wording in their laws that they've adopted that say that no pastor, no faith group is going to have to be forced to perform same-sex marriages. Yet people still keep repeating this fear-fueled lie. And as to freedom of religion, we have a constitution that protects each of us to follow our own faith, each of us. Some faith groups already affirm same-sex marriages, and are they any less deserving of following their faith and their beliefs within their faith? Christians have been the dominant culture. There are Christians that are sometimes called dominionists even, because they believe that Christians are to control every area of our culture and world, but I don't see that anywhere in the Bible. We are to share. I'm no more important than my lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender, Muslim, or black neighbor, but the dominant culture of white, male Christian is being challenged, and we're asked to share and extend equal rights to people that we all, equal rights that we already enjoy, and we're just asked to extend and share those. And it's uncomfortable to some people. But the arc of justice in the Bible moves towards gender indifferences and no status differences. We see this in the book of Revelations, but for now we have to exist in this sort of already is and yet to be tension. And also on religious freedoms, as a Christian, that's really an interesting topic to me. When I read the Bible, I can't find any rights that I'm given as a believer. Our rights, our citizens' rights, are given to us by the Constitution, and the Constitution doesn't allow us to discriminate for race, gender, disabilities, nation of origin, sexual orientation, or even your sex. We're all protected. This is usually more, there's usually more to the story when the often and regularly depicted cases and situations are repeated by fear-filled people thinking that the LGBT people are going to invade and take all of their rights. If a merchant has a retail license, they can't discriminate. No state would allow them to discriminate. So if you hold a retail license, you cannot discriminate against people, period. And if a person has a facility that they want to restrict the use of and not allow a gay couple from using that public facility, then they have to make sure that they file their tax, their organizational papers under the appropriate tax category. There's a church in New Jersey that was sued by a gay couple because they were barred from using that facility. That church, they didn't need a bigger Bible to keep the gay couple away. What they needed was a better tax attorney to set up their corporation. There's usually more to the story when you hear these stories repeated. So getting the facts, it's an interesting exercise. So if your head says, what? Well, stop being lazy and start checking out the facts. So the church, in that case, filed the wrong paperwork under the wrong federal tax exemption, and when they became a nonprofit. So that was the issue there. As a citizen of the United States, I'm going to trust the Constitution to help and control these issues of freedom of speech and freedom of religion. I don't think Jesus came to place Christians in power and in control. We're here to love and serve people and draw others unto Him with our humility. This Christian as the persecuted ones, it's a sham. Well, to me, it's a sham. We're being asked to extend to others what we already enjoy, rather than being just and fair, and as we are asked to be in Isaiah 58, we're resistant and we hold on to our rights and we deny other people their rights. We've become the oppressors of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community. I'm charged to live my life in integrity and to be a good citizen and to be a good Christian. My freedoms are not challenged by sharing them with other people and especially other citizens of the United States. My name is Kathy Baldock and I'm with Canyon Walker Connections.